What's up, Stripe Nation? Blake Albertson here with B&B Lawn Care. I'm here with my buddy Caleb from Auman Landscape. Where are you guys out of?
We're out of Lancaster, Ohio, so just southeast of Columbus.
Caleb has an interesting story, something that definitely scared. Like, dude, I was always been scared of the IRS. Like from the second I started my company.
You should be.
And I'm like I had like a few accounts, and like, dude, I'm gonna get audited.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
dude, and that's part of my actually my speech this week at Brian's thing is talking about how I wanted to be a legit company. And who is that?
I don't know.
Oh, and how I wanted to be a legit company, and I kind of just played the part before I needed to play the part.
Right.
Because everybody's like, oh, you don't need to. Well, technically, legally, you should.
Sure.
And so yeah, I hired an accountant to do my taxes and paid taxes way before I should have and needed to.
Yeah.
Because I was so scared of it. But
right.
I think from your side of the story, you'd be like, oh, that's a very good job, right?
Yeah. The biggest thing is you got to do what you're comfortable with. And so if that's what it took for you to be comfortable in your business and comfortable with what you're doing, like, go that route for sure. But when you're starting out, keep it as simple as possible. You don't have to get real complicated with how you do. I mean, you still got to do your claims and, you know, claim your income on taxes and stuff, but keep it simple. And that's one of the things that crushed me early in my first company. Was I tried to be Joe Big Time Contractor. I was hiring guys, taking on projects we weren't really fit to do yet, or fully efficient. Actually, it wasn't that we weren't capable of doing them, we weren't efficient enough to do them. So we get into jobs, just get bogged down because we didn't have the right machinery, didn't have the cash flow and capital or credit lines to, you know, rent the machinery, and so we were just slogging along for a long time. But, you know, I was trying to do payroll tax withholding and sales tax on our lawn care accounts and all this crap. And, you know, and that's when I was still in the field too. I didn't remove myself from the field yet. And so I'm trying to work 12, 14 hours a day, you know, like you do when you're starting out in a company. And you know, you get home and you're like, stack of paperwork waiting on you and taxes and all this crap. And it's like, last thing you feel like doing in a world, especially when you prefer doing the work over the management. Right. And so, like, that stuff just started compounding and compiling, and I started getting behind in payroll taxes and behind in like all my taxes, and that begins to snowball. And it's one of those things, like, every month I was like, next month's gonna be better, we'll be more profitable, we learned some things on this job, and that went on for years. And again, that just snowballed. It kept snowballing and snowballing, and a lot of hard lessons learned that way for my sake anyway. So that was basically 10 years, and you never paid those taxes? No,
or what was that?
Like, it's getting to be so long ago now, pushing 15 and 20 years respectively.
Shout out to the IRS. It's way past time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's but no, we ended up, you know, we did end up cleaning all that mess up and taking care of all that stuff. But yeah, I went for a few years, like, just getting behind and, like, paying. But
you're always like, next month.
It's crazy. I just kept pushing that, you know, kicking that can down the proverbial road, and I'd pay when I could and what I could, and then, like, just kept letting it build up, and just, I got myself into a real mess. And all the while, I just kept thinking, my big thing was gross sales will save me. Like, I just got to keep growing a company, and we'll round this corner at some point. And then other things in life got in the way, and things got real messy there for a while, and I learned a lot of hard lessons. And that's why I'm not afraid to talk about it. It's tough to talk about it because, like, I can't believe I was so stupid, you know what I mean, to be, you know, so ignorant of, you know, managing things properly. And then also you hit a point where you're just afraid, you get afraid, and it's like you get to a point where it's like, now you're just trying to outrun it, you know, and that doesn't work either.
So was this an underlying problem in your business where you weren't making the profits that you thought you were making when the money was there, or what was it?
One of the things that got in the way was passion for the company and passion for the work.
You never want it to die, right?
Yeah, and it was a thing. I never wanted to not be in business for myself, but I wasn't a good, you know, manager of the business, manager of the company, and I wanted to be, and I understood it because I was following along with a lot of guys like Charles Vanderkoy and a lot of other big names. And Charles Vanderkoy, the late Charles Vanderkoy, who passed away a few years ago, he was huge on, you know, cost recovery. So your overhead cost recovery, making sure you're making enough money to pay your bills, to pay your overhead, and profit on top of that, and pay your salaries and all that stuff. The big thing was, you know, I had the understanding, or at least I knew something was not right, and I knew I needed to be better and really run my numbers at some point and figure out what do we need to charge, what do we need to do to get our overhead recovered and make a profit. And like, I knew my jobs weren't priced where they needed to be, and at the same time I didn't have the confidence to put them where they needed to be. I was a young kid.
How old were you when you started?
So I started my first company in 1999, right out of high school, or during high school actually. I got in one of the programs where you can go to school for like half a day, and then I was going cutting grass the rest of the day. I did that for my senior year, and then, you know, from there on. But I just knew something inherently needed to change, but it took me a long time. I actually really just had to get kicked in the face eventually, and it's all the stuff my dad, you know, God bless my dad, he knew and he could tell, I think something was going on financially with me, but I didn't really disclose that with him. But, you know, I could tell, you know, it's stuff, I guess what I'm getting at is like my dad, you know, tried to help me with that stuff, and I learned a lot from my dad as far as construction and just general handy, you know, just how to be handy, I suppose, and you know, skilled builder and all that. But like, when it came to finances, I didn't want to listen to my dad for some reason. I don't know why, and I was too smart, I think, to listen to him, is what it came down to.
Were you out spending on employees, on equipment, or what was it? Because
of my love for the industry, being the lawn care end and the construction end. Yeah, like if there was yeah, I mean, I would put off paying my phone bill to buy a new trimmer. Like, dude, I was like out of my mind. I was crazy, and I didn't care. I was just like, I wanted to grow the company. I wanted to make the thing work, but I was just going about it so the wrong way. And that's where that thing of passion for your work is great, and at the same time, it's like nearly a detriment, right? Because like, you'll look like so far into the distance and you know, not notice the cliff right in front of you, right? You see the other side of the canyon, right, not the depression right in front of you. And I think it's kind of where I was. I just kept looking like, we're gonna get there someday, we're gonna get there someday. And I guess ultimately I did, right, to some level of success, of a sustainable company that pays their salaries and stuff and supports a family. But gosh, man, yeah, I walked right over a cliff in the meantime. And so that's the way I had to learn, I think.
You said those problems were 2009?
So I started a company in 1999, and really, I didn't really start making a bad decision. I really didn't start probably getting behind on things till like, what, the mid-2000s. So probably like 2005-ish is when things started to really...
Because you're hustling, trying to just grow your business,
yeah, dude,
right?
I wasn't not working. I mean, I was killing myself, like, working. And I was still, at the same time, like, I had an awesome, like, time, because I also, very frugally, I was traveling a lot with my friends, but, like, on a shoestring budget, and, like, I had an awesome, like, 20s, and I was going to college, too, so I was going to school at Columbus State in their landscape design build program. And let's weigh this dude putting Treflan down, or whatever we're applying there. Good weed preventer. What you putting down?
Got Tall Star P for mosquito
Tall Star. All right. Cool. Good to see those gloves on. That stuff's nasty.
Yeah, exactly.
So
2005.
2005-ish is when things start to really unravel. And I rode that limping horse for about 4 years, till about 2009, and things really came to a head. And to get real deep, Blake, what the heck? For Blake Albertson, I will.
Let's do it, man.
I was, the whole time since high school, I was dating a girl, and she wasn't a bad person. We were terrible for each other, kind of thing. And we were gonna get married, and she split a month before we were getting married. Best thing ever happened to me in my whole life, because it was just not a good thing with her. But like, I went hog wild ever since that, and like I hadn't been single since high school, so man, I was partying and still working my tail off. But like, I was living that life too, of like working my tail off and just partying a lot and having a good time. But like, that was really like the end of it, right? And so I was working just to survive and not working to build a company at that point. And then yeah, about 2009 when it really completely unraveled. A little bit prior to that, Britt and I got together, started dating, and then I closed my company because it was in such a mess. Got all my tax stuff straightened out with a good accountant.
Was that bankrupt?
I went bankrupt, full-fledged bankruptcy in 2009, which is crazy because I didn't have a lot of assets, or I didn't have a lot of debt per se. I had a lot of tax issues, and that bankruptcy doesn't get you out of that, by the way. But what it did was help build, through my accountant and my attorney at the time, trying to clean up that big mess I made. it helped me, it helped us navigate some of those waters. So that's a whole nother long discussion, but we got things cleaned up and we're still cleaning up. And that's the thing, my wife, God bless her, like, she willingly walked into the mess I made and helped me, and wrote it out. Like, cause for a few years after that, like, man, we were broke. We had nothing. Like, everything we could do.
And the economy was crap.
The economy was rough, but we were such a small company that it didn't matter. And I was so used to living on nothing, it just didn't. It really actually didn't affect me like it probably would now with having full-time guys and machines and stuff like that. So, but we still are very stable in that regard because we're kind of anticipating some kind of economic slowdown here in 2019. It's got to be around the corner, I would think. So we're still, we still see it, and that's one awesome thing about going through 2008, 2009. That the whole financial issue there was with the macro economy doing so poorly at that point, and the housing market collapsed and all that. Like, I've seen that now in my lifetime, and there's another one coming. There's another big financial correction coming. Again, just for date and context, it's 2019 now. Things are on fire. The construction trades are on fire, like, as far as quantity of work. Like, anybody that's worth a crap right now is buried in work.
Right.
And that's going to slow down at some point.
Yep.
And still, the good guys will still be busy, but not like what we're expecting. And the thing that's going to get hurt a lot of people is, like, everybody's like forgetting that there's this cliff right in front of us, and because we lose our hindsight of like 2008, 2009. Yep. And so we got to be careful there, and we're trying to be careful and diligent and all that. We'll see what happens. I talk a good game now, but we'll see how we run out. But so anyways, like 2009, and Britt and I started Rebuilt. She started a new company. She now owns it. I work for her. She signs my paychecks, the whole bit. And we started just started building a new company again, and just
right at 2010 or
started the new company in 2009 essentially after I closed my old one right after. And we stayed in lawn care for a few more years. We sold that to focus solely on design, build, and landscape construction work. And we haven't looked back. I don't miss lawn care a bit, frankly.
What do you do differently now in your business? Not hardscape versus lawn care. What do you do business-wise, profit-wise, paying taxes-wise that you never did before? What scared you to death so much where you're like, this is what we're gonna change and this is what we have to do now?
I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back to being broke and having nothing. Because I mean, I went the company from like, 2005 on, I mean, I was scraping by. And I just didn't want to go back to that lifestyle. And so for years intentionally, 2010, 2015, Britt and I lived on nothing intentionally with purpose. And there's a big difference there. You can live on nothing and wonder why you're there, or you can live on nothing and know why you're there with the vision of, like, in 4 years, this whole plan that we have working out, we're saving $1 here, saving $1 there, eating nothing but spaghetti, the whole Dave Ramsey beans and rice thing. Well, that was spaghetti for us. Like, we ate spaghetti for like 3 freaking years, like, because we had goals and like we had a vision of where we wanted to go, the other side of the canyon. We were going to get there. And so the biggest thing was just being diligent with our finances and being smart and like just trying to save money everywhere we could. And that was like the biggest thing, just having a purpose of like why we're doing it. So that was the biggest thing, like, I'm not going back to being that broke. Like, I saw a long time ago, a few years ago, I was at a gas station. I saw this lady put like $7 in the fuel tank in the pump, and I'm like, man, I remember those days. Like, we were, thank the Lord, beyond that at that point. But I was like, man, I'm so never want to go back there. And by the grace of God, we hopefully never have to. So something I didn't get to mention earlier, and I got to frame this right so I don't sound like you're going to do a lot of editing on this part here, Blake. But something I wanted to get at is like, we started out, went through some dark times, and now we've kind of we've righted the ship, right? Like, we got to a point where, after going broke and eating spaghetti forever, like I was saying. We rebuilt the company. My foreman stuck around with me through that whole mess, which was awesome. And he's the only guy we kept on. We had to let anybody else go or whatever, but Mr. Bo kept working with us clear through the whole thing, and he helped. Having a right-hand man is so important to help hold a company together, to allow us to rebuild the company itself while work is still getting performed. That's something I've always known is a big deal in business, and always tried to keep that rolling that way. So we rebuilt the company now to 3 full-time guys. We got a 4th guy coming on in January. He's going to head up kind of his own division with the company, but we're at we're gonna maybe hit 600,000 in sales this year. We're profitable. We're drawing a decent salary now, and we want to go to like the $1 million, $1.2 million mark-ish. We'll see like what our new division for stormwater management, fixing like those drains and that kind of stuff in parking lots. Like that'll be another division aside from hardscaping. We're never gonna get out of hardscaping or landscape construction, any of that stuff. But so like my message here is with this whole thing is like, if you're going through some rough stuff, you know, get a good accountant, get a a good attorney that you can afford, and get this thing straightened out. Don't let, like, if you're behind in taxes or anything like that, don't ignore it. That's the worst thing you can do.
It'll never go away.
It will never go away, and it only gets worse because the fees and interest and penalties and all that crap just compound, and it gets disastrous. And to settle out of those things, it takes a lot of money to an accountant or an attorney. Unfortunately, I had an accountant that I was able to trade a lot of work with, but I was a servant to that dude for a while because he was charging $200 an hour, and I'm only billing out at 70 or 80, back then. And so, just try to get, if you're in a bad spot, either with financials or whatever, like, it's not too late to turn things around. It's not too late to straighten things out. Push pause for a minute. Tell people you're behind with money. Hey, we're gonna fix things. We're gonna get right. We're gonna straighten things up, and you stay diligent and get on the right path. Dave Ramsey and all that kind of stuff. Like, and we still have debt on business stuff. I just, no personal debt is our belief now. If it makes money, we're okay with financing it, be it a skid steer or a truck or whatever. So I guess my message here with that is like, the company's back at a great spot. And like I said, we're profitable. Our guys, Bo's been with us for 20 years now almost, and my other two guys been with us for 5 and 6 years. So we're trying to build a really good place to work and be a good place to work, and so there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think is like one of the main things I wanted to like bring to it. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like,
right.
You hit a rough patch, just that's the one thing where passion. Then, like, from where it was a negative to where I do work too cheap, it will get you through the worst part of it, right? Yep. And that's where the passion is is beneficial. So I think that's the thing I wanted to like clarify, since we had to like add some video here. So that's the main thing. If you're going through some rough stuff, just be smart, be diligent, and ride it out, and just make smart, prudent decisions, and it should turn around for you.
So what would your biggest tip to people so they never get into a sticky situation like that? What do you want people to learn from your story?
The biggest thing, I guess the biggest thing is the cliche thing, but you got to know your numbers. At the end of the day, just freaking period. You've got to know.
Which is why we're at LMN, like we're trying to learn here, right?
And that's the biggest thing. You've got to know your numbers, and if you got to know what it costs to operate. You've got to know what you want to make as as a business. You got to know what your overhead is, what your phone bill, and you've got to just have all that stuff tallied. And then you got to know, and it's really not that hard, frankly. Like, you've just got to know what it takes to get that money back, to pay for all that stuff, and then just figure out, how you put that into your billing in your company. It's really not a hard thing, but the biggest thing of that is just being diligent and doing it, and actually like sticking through of like, all right, this didn't work on this job because we weren't charging enough. We've got to make sure we're charging enough on our projects, and we got to have enough self-respect to charge what we're worth, be willing to walk away from work and jobs that's not profitable or not going to pay us what we need. So that's the biggest thing. You've got to respect yourself and your numbers.
You want to know what's funny? I interviewed Mark Bradley, and his #1 tip was a budget, like making sure 100%. You know your numbers. Like, so that's how powerful this is.
The numbers don't lie. I mean, at the end of the day, the numbers will kick you in the face, and like the numbers just do not care. There's just no escaping mathematics, just period.
100%. Caleb Auman, I appreciate it. We've been buddies for a long time, so I'm glad to have you on. Check out their YouTube channel, Auman Landscape, and of course their Instagram, Auman Landscape.
All the handles are the same across all social media platforms.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It
got heavy quick. I don't know.
Did.
There's so much more to that story too, but like how much, we gonna go to sunset? Or what?
Yeah, well, we could, yeah. But if you enjoyed it, leave me a like, leave me a comment. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.